Hey everyone, welcome back to BDG Reviews. This is episode 4 of my musical evolution. I'm calling this the punk years. I've always been a fan of punk music. There was never just like a set amount of years where I was a fan, but I just felt it deserved its own video, as opposed to just being like thrown in with other stuff. So first up, we got Nevermind the Bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. I knew about the Sex Pistols for years. Before I even ever heard them, I knew of them. Then I heard the album. I love the album, honestly, but it kind of proves that you don't need to be a good musician to be in a good band, if that makes sense. None of the members of the Sex Pistols were particularly like virtuosic musicians by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, hell, I don't think Sid Vicious could actually play the bass at all. I think, he just, Johnny Rotten couldn't really sing, Glenn Matlock and everyone and all them. It is what it is, but it proved that you don't need to be the greatest musician to be a rock star. And I really dug that. That was so damn cool. Great album. Next up, we have Ramones with Animal Boy. I'm holding this one up, but it's not my favorite Ramones album. My favorite Ramones album is Road to Ruin, which is tied with Rocket to Russia. They're both superb albums, and I honestly recommend them to anyone who ever listens. Ramones were the step up from the Sex Pistols, where they could actually play. It wasn't super, again, virtuosic or whatever, but they could play better than the Pistols could. Everything they wrote was completely just earworm catchy, and it's the Ramones. Like I've said to people before, not only are they the voice of a generation, they're the voice of multiple generations, and I think they will be for years to come. I don't think you're never going to top the Ramones for what they do. Just saying. Bit of history on this next album. This is a band I've always been a fan of. I'd always been very interested in as a kid, but at the time, their tapes were like $20 for a cassette. And this was back at a time when I was making for an allowance, I was getting $10 a week. So in order to get an album by them, it involved, saving up for 2 weeks, which at the time, you're a kid, it's like that's a bit of a push. Eventually I did it and I never looked back. But got Misfits with Evil Live. This was not this particular LP. I had it on cassette, but this was the first Misfits album I ever had. And to this day, I honestly believe it's one of the best live albums I've ever heard. It's up there with Double Live Gonzo by Ted Nugent, Kiss Alive 2, Live After Death by Maiden, Frampton Comes Alive. It's up there with all those, and it's just awesome. I love this album, and it enough said. It's great. Next, we have an artist that was, I'll say this, when you think of someone like who you would consider like an artist who's dangerous, they ain't got shit on G.G. Allen, who would actually come out into the crowd and beat the shit out of people, take off all his clothes and shit on the stage and everything. And this was, I never saw G.G. live, but it was always the thought of you go to an Iron Maiden concert, you're going to come out fine. You go to a G.G. Allen concert, you get the feeling you might come out covered in shit with a busted up face. It was a legitimate possibility. And it was kind of cool just to see this dude that was completely unhinged, which someone who, let's be honest, if he hadn't found music, probably would have ended up as a serial killer. But he found music, and he did music, and he did it damn good. Some of his, this isn't high art, by any means. This is lowbrow, as low as they come, but it's awesome. And, it's G.G. Allen. I mean, damn. How can you go wrong with G.G. Allen? Last up in the punk section. This is interesting because it kind of falls in the punk section, kind of falls in the rock section, and it kind of falls in a third section, which would be Japanese music. And that's Guitar Wolf with Love and Jet. This is the only album by Guitar Wolf I own, but I really like Guitar Wolf. I was first introduced to them in the movie Wild Zero, where essentially it's like the Japanese version of Rock and Roll High School, if you will. It's Guitar Wolf's movie, and they're cool. They're let's put it this way: they have certain songs that just great. Like if you had on a mix or whatever, and then you had a certain Guitar Wolf songs on there, people would tell you to turn it off when it came on because it starts out with awesomeness. They're awesome. If you've never heard Guitar Wolf, do yourself a favor, jump on YouTube, see what you can see. They're great, and it's one of the first bands that really introduced me to the idea of listening to music that you don't, that's not from where you are. Most of the music I listen to is, America, Canada, Britain, Germany, like Europe and stuff like that. Japan's way out there, but proves rock and roll has no boundaries. If you know that quote, you know exactly what I'm saying, and it's damn funny. So yeah, that's it for now. See you next time.